Good morning, this is Wayne Blau with another Smart Profit Maximizer moment. Happy Monday. Clouds are covering us up a little bit, but I'm sure the sun will be out and then us sun creatures will be ready to hit the day running. Anyways, today we're going to talk about going against the big guys and winning. All right, everybody has a large competitor in their field that they need to beat. Let's show you how to beat them. First, let me reintroduce myself a little better. My name is Wayne Belisle. I'm the founder of a local CPA firm since 1991. Been doing this a long time. I actually started working in public accounting with small firms, with small clients and business owners since the late 70s. Other than serving 6 years as the controller and chief financial officer of Magnolia Coca-Cola, we had about 6 plants, 600 employees. I directly supervised about 40 of them. All of that time has been dealt with working with small business clients, all right, like you, focusing on 3 things really. 1, getting their tax returns done in a way that doesn't get them audited, but if they are unlucky enough to get audited, teaching them how to survive. But more importantly, the second thing, all right, the second thing we do is we tax plan. All right, so our tax planning with our clients has saved them over $4.3 million in the last 3 years alone. That's impressive, truthfully. Not many CPAs are doing that, and the ones that aren't doing it as much to the degree as we are. I can say that because I've talked to quite a few local CPAs and trying to talk them into doing more of it. There's a movement going on, so I'm hoping to see more and more people. The third thing we do is what these are about. We help our business owners make more money. And we do that by education. And really, to be honest about it, the quickest and easiest way to make more money is to combine good ideas with action. You do that, get good ideas, do something, implement, and you increase your profits dramatically. Massive increase in profits is what we're about. All right, and that's what these videos are, trying to provide you some good ideas. Let's talk about going up against the big guys. How do you compete with the big guys and win? All right, we all have them, unless we are the big guy. And truthfully, then there's a different set of problems. But we're not, okay? Most of I can't think of anybody in the small business world that I've dealt with who doesn't have a big competitor somewhere, all right? Matter of fact, I had a conversation with 3 different companies recently. One was launching a website, a web store. One was considering opening a business, and one was struggling to survive. I was complaining about the big guys. I'm faced with that. I mean, for tax returns, I'm fighting the H&R Blocks and Liberty Tax Services, all the tax box services that we talk about. Also, for anything else, I'm fighting the large CPA firms, the large regionals, the large internationals, and the large local firms, all right? So what do you do? I mean, during tax season, I can't watch a show even at Fast Forward and not see a commercial for one of the big tax blocks. H&R Block, like I said, any of those. So what do? Well, I have certain rules that I say to follow, but the most important thing to do is don't compete with them on their strengths. All right, so let's talk about number 1. Never, ever get yourself in a situation where you're comparing apples to apples, okay? Change what you offer your customer so that they cannot compare you to the big competitor. Rule number 2, never compete on price. All right, the big guys will run you out of business. They can lower the cost in a way that forces you to match if all you're doing is competing on price. And you'll lose because you don't have the working capital and the ability, the economies of scale, all the things that they can do to keep their price lower. All right, and third, how do you compete then? You compete by finding a hot market in a niche, all right? You find a hot market in a particular niche. That's what you do. Dan Kennedy, if you haven't read his stuff, like I've said before more than once, you need to get his stuff. Says the number 1 thing he would want if he was a restaurant owner is hungry customers. It's a great way to say you want to sell to those customers a solution to their problems and to the customers that have the money to pay you for that solution, all right? The big competitor usually sells to everyone, all right? And basically treats every customer the same. Let me give you a couple of examples. BK Medical, they're a client of mine, all right? A lot of their stuff is sold at Walmart, at Walgreens. All right. So how do they compete with them? They're buying for thousands of stores. How do you compete with Walmart? Well, with service. They specifically, we did a couple things. One, we went for a niche. We went for the caregiver niche. So we're slowly spreading the news, and they've been doing a good job of it. If you're a caregiver, go to BEK. They have the resources and the knowledge to help you. Go down to Walmart and try to talk to somebody. It's on aisle 10, and maybe they got it right. Okay, and you don't have a lot of choices. You want a lift chair? We got 2. Go to BEK. They got like 20, and they can explain the differences and what it's best for. Okay, myself. Okay, how do I go against the H&R Blocks? Well, first of all, that's not even a fair comparison in many ways, because I have a natural advantage. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? I have a natural advantage that basically I'm a CPA. They're people watching go to a 6-week course and come back and try to sell taxes. But more importantly, like I said, if you're going to compete against the big guys, you have to make sure you don't compete on their terms. So I don't. All right. I compete by selling tax planning and business coaching. And because then at that point, they trust me to do their tax return. I'm a logical person to do their tax return. Yeah, I have people come in and do the tax return first, and we solve their problems. Like I said, that's an advantage I have. So how do I compete against the big guys? The big guys, the big CPAs, all right? Well, here's another thing I do. I told you, very few CPAs are doing tax planning to the degree we're doing, all right? So that's my differential. Almost none of them are doing business coaching. I don't know anybody else who's doing these videos, all right, to help our clients make more money. So that's what we're talking about. When you're competing against the big guys, remember the 3 rules. Never, ever set yourself up in direct. Don't make it apples to apples. If you can be compared to the big guys, you're going to lose for all the reasons we all know. Never compete on price. All right, that's rule number 2. And number 3, remember, find your hot niche where the customers are ready to buy, have a problem that you can solve, and are willing to pay. All right, a little bit more than the cheap price. Okay, look, study after study has shown that the big guy will run you out of business if you compete on their field. So don't change the game. Figure out a way to change the game. I told you how I did it. I've done more than that even. And I'm constantly looking for new ways to change the game so that my clients can't compare me to anybody else, because what I offer is unique. All right? You need to do the same. Stop moaning about the big guys running me out of business and start looking for ways that you can make them compete on your field, because they're not gonna. All right? They're willing to take, the big guys are willing to take 80% of the market. They don't care. You can be quite successful taking 1% of the market and offering a high quality something to a niche that is willing to pay, because they know they can't get that solution from the big guys. All right? Hey, until next time, this is Wayne Belisle saying, let's make this our most profitable year ever. Thank you very much.